The role of public opinion cannot be ignored, as Charles's popularity has fluctuated over the years. Some have suggested that the king may have felt that stepping aside was in the best interest of the monarchy, allowing Prince William and his wife, Catherine, to take on more prominent roles. The abdication of King Charles III has thrown the royal family and the nation into a state of reflection and uncertainty. This decision, rooted in a complex mix of personal, familial, and public considerations, is unprecedented in the modern era. While the monarchy has weathered many storms, this particular event signifies a turning point that may redefine the future of the British royal institution. In the weeks leading up to the abdication, there were subtle signs that all was not well within the royal household. Close observers noted a shift in Charles's public demeanor. His appearances, once marked by a sense of duty and tradition, had become more subdued. Behind the palace walls, the weight of the crown seemed to be taking a toll on him. Although no official statements were made at the time, there were whispers of the king grappling with the demands of his role, compounded by concerns over his health and the increasingly complex political landscape in the UK. Reports have surfaced indicating that King Charles sought counsel from his closest advisors, including senior members of the royal family and trusted confidants. The discussions were said to be intense and fraught with emotion, as Charles weighed the responsibilities of his position against the realities of his personal circumstances. It is believed that he considered all possible outcomes, including the impact his decision would have on the monarchy, his family, and the nation. Ultimately, it seems that the king reached the conclusion that stepping down was the most responsible and dignified course of action. For Queen Consort Camilla, this period has been particularly challenging. Known for her resilience and quiet strength, she has always supported Charles through the ups and downs of public life. However, the prospect of him relinquishing the throne has reportedly shaken her deeply. Camilla's emotional response highlights the personal sacrifice and the human aspect of what is often seen as a purely institutional matter. The tears she has shed reflect not just her concern for Charles, but also the enormous changes they now face as a couple, transitioning from the roles they have both prepared for over many years. The royal family, now faced with the task of navigating this transition, is likely to undergo a period of internal realignment. Prince William, who has been steadily preparing for his future role as king, will now have to accelerate his readiness to assume the throne. William's ascension is expected to bring a new energy and direction to the monarchy, one that aligns with the expectations of a modern, diverse Britain. However, this transition will not be without its challenges. William will need to strike a delicate balance between honoring the traditions of the monarchy and embracing the progressive changes that many believe are necessary for its survival in the 21st century. As the nation processes this seismic shift, reactions have been mixed. There is a sense of sadness and nostalgia among those who have supported King Charles throughout his life, recognizing his dedication to his duties and his efforts to address contemporary issues such as climate change and social inequality. Yet, there is also a sense of cautious optimism as people look to the future with Prince William at the helm. The British public, while often critical of the monarchy, also holds a deep respect for its continuity and the symbolic role it plays in national identity. The coming months will be crucial in determining how this transition is received and what it means for the monarchy's relevance in a rapidly changing world. Internationally, King Charles's abdication has sparked a wide array of responses. Royal families across Europe have expressed their support and solidarity, recognizing the difficult decision Charles had to make. The bustling streets of Brick Lane fell silent for a moment as King Charles III stepped out of his sleek black Range Rover. The monarch, known for his reserved demeanor, was about to embark on an unexpected adventure that would set social media ablaze and capture the world's attention. As King Charles walked into the modest Bangladeshi restaurant, Gram Bangla, nobody expected what was to come next. What happened after King Charles walked into this foreign restaurant, and what did he do? Join us as we explore exactly what happened right after. King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla made an unexpected visit to Gram Bangla, a Bangladeshi restaurant on Brick Lane in East London, known for IBT's many curry houses and cultural diversity. On a February afternoon, the royal couple's arrival surprised both the patrons of the Bangladeshi place and the staff working there. King Charles, dressed in his characteristic suit, created a welcoming and approachable atmosphere that was different from what one would expect from royalty of his status. As he interacted with those in the restaurant, the initial shock of his presence quickly wore off among both diners and employees, turning into excitement among everybody present. What happened next would end up captivating the entire nation. King Charles, known for his reserved demeanor, engaged effortlessly with the restaurant staff and patrons. He exchanged pleasantries with the owner, Shams Uddin, who has been serving the community for over 2 decades. The king's actions at the venue showed a genuine interest in the restaurant's history and cuisine. The highlight of the visit came when the king, in a moment of spontaneity, as he approached the counter, had his eyes light up with curiosity. "What's that you're making?" he inquired, gesturing towards a blender in operation. The young server replied, "It's a mango lassi, Your Majesty." Taking an action that was as unplanned as it was surprising, Charles asked if he could try his hand at making one. The restaurant staff, too stunned to do anything but nod, watched as the King of England rolled up his sleeves and stepped behind the counter. The sight of the monarch performing this everyday task struck a chord with onlookers who captured the moment on their phones. As news of the royal visit spread, social media was quickly flooded with takes and opinions. Videos of King Charles making a mango lassi were being circulated widely, and they were accompanied by popular hashtags. The sight of the king taking part in such a mundane, everyday activity struck a chord with people around the world, as it showed a more personal glimpse of the king than his typical formal appearances would. What began as a brief stop on a tour of East London soon became a viral sensation. The visit to Gram Bangla had somehow revealed a different side of King Charles.
Prince Harry speaking out in a really revealing new interview.
You didn't believe she was dead?
I just refused to accept that she was gone. Part of, she would never do this to us, but also part of, maybe this is all part of a plan. I think she would be sad. I think she'd be looking at it long term, to know that there are certain things that we need to go through to be able to heal the relationship.
Do you remember the popular tragic car crash that happened in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel?
Thursday marks 20 years since Princess Diana was killed in a car crash inside a Paris tunnel.
Yes, we're talking about the one that claimed the life of Princess Diana. Do you know the incident has been shrouded in mystery and speculation? Well, not anymore, as the truth has finally been revealed, and it has been all we have been suspecting about. Prince Harry's revelation about his mother, Princess Diana, has stunned the world. In an unexpected move, he confirmed the long-standing theories suggesting her tragic death was not an accident, but an orchestrated inside job.
Shocking allegations about Princess Diana's death. Authorities now reviewing the new and sensational claim that she was actually murdered by the British government.
This admission has sent shockwaves globally, igniting debates and discussions everywhere. Stay with us as we delve into one of the most heart-wrenching events in modern royal history: the impact of Prince Harry's revelation. The British royal family, already under intense scrutiny and criticism for various reasons over the years, is now faced with a new wave of skepticism and distrust, with the public and media frequently asking several questions such as, how far does the involvement of the establishment go, and to what length they would go to protect their interest? The idea that a member of the royal family could be targeted in such a manner by those living within the same circle is deeply unsettling if we're to be unbiased about it, and this act raises ethical and moral questions about the length power can corrupt.
With Prince Harry's tell-all memoir dominating headlines, it's hard not to wonder if the royals can survive the latest scathing attack.
However, Harry's revelation challenges the narrative that has been upheld for decades. The official story had initially provided a sense of closure, although it was a painful one to the millions of people who mourned the late Princess Diana. With Harry's new information, the public is forced to revisit and reassess their understanding of the events. It was a jarring experience, as many had come to terms with the tragedy based on the information that was previously available. Well, that was the case until recent times. Now they are confronted with the possibility that there was a deliberate and malicious intent behind the loss of a figure who was not only a royal icon, but also a humanitarian and a beloved public personality. But wait, there is more to Harry's revelation.
Prince Harry says he held on to hope that Princess Diana was secretly still alive, long after her passing.
Harry's admission didn't just come at the cost of revealing the truth behind Princess Diana. He also used the medium to express concerns about his personal life and the struggles he has been going through within the royal family. Harry is known for his willingness to speak out. Harry has always been seen as a rebel, a person who is unafraid to challenge the status quo, especially his decision to break away from the royal family and relocate to the United States with his wife Meghan Markle was simply a clear indication of his desire to forge his path.
A royal reversal from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They are stepping back from senior roles in the royal family. Harry and Meghan say they will work to become financially independent.
From Harry's revelations, it is evident that his actions were driven not just by personal choice, but also by a deep-seated to uncover and confront the truth about his mother's death. Even though his relationship with the media is complex, Harry is looking to set things right. So what are the revelations about Princess Diana Harry seems to know about? And is this move the preferred option for Harry? Then pay attention if you care to know more. The world's reaction to Prince Harry's revelation has been one of shock and disbelief. The whole world is talking about it. Social media is in a frenzy state, with each user to their own opinion, debates, discussions, and expression of their outrage and sorrow. Princess Diana was loved by everyone, and when the news about her passing in that crash, it sent everyone into a cold state as they mourned her.
As dawn breaks on the day of Princess Diana's funeral, the crowds are already gathering on the streets of London. 20,000 extra policemen and women have been drafted in to monitor the crowds.
Prince Harry's statement could potentially prompt a reinvestigation into Princess Diana's death, and if those responsible are found wanting, the public isn't looking for this case to be taken lightly. We don't care how powerful or influential whoever is responsible for this may be. They can't go unpunished. One user said, Princess Diana was an icon, admired and beloved by millions around the world. Her humanitarian work and compassionate nature endeared her to people far beyond the confines of the British Commonwealth. So the revelation about her death, being an orchestrated act and not an accident, will undoubtedly shock and dismay her global admirers. and can even lead to international calls for justice by countries with close ties to the British monarchy, such as Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. For historians and scholars, Prince Harry's admission opens up new avenues for research and analysis.
And I have been so deeply moved and humbled by their truly remarkable courage and by their selfless capacity for forgiveness, despite all that they have suffered.
King Charles can finally share what happened is sure to make jaws drop. For decades, rumors and whispers surrounded the real story behind Charles and Diana's marriage, leaving fans with burning questions. Now, after years of regret and hidden truth, Charles is ready to spill the details that could change everything we thought we knew. From unexpected revelations to shocking confessions, nothing remains off limits in this tell-all.
And I also wanted to say how particularly moved and enormously comforted my children and I were, and indeed still are, by the public response to Diana's death.
Are you ready to hear the scandal that could rewrite entire royal history? Early spotlight on King Charles. From the moment he was born on November 14, 1948, King Charles lived in the public eye like few others. Being the first child of Queen Elizabeth II placed him in line for the British throne at just a few years old. As soon as his mother succeeded to the throne in 1952, Charles's every move became news. Journalists and photographers followed him constantly, capturing everything from his first steps to his school outings. This early attention brought both excitement and hardship. On one hand, Charles enjoyed privileges such as living in grand palaces and traveling around the world with his parents. On the other hand, the weight of future responsibility cast a long shadow. He could not simply play outside without a chaperone, or make casual friends without those friendships ending up in the papers. Knowing that he would eventually become king brought an expectation of perfect behavior and never-ending etiquette lessons. As a child, Charles took part in public events that most people never experience. He had to attend formal ceremonies, greet dignitaries, and smile for countless photographs. His parents were often busy with their own duties, so he sometimes felt distant from them. This early exposure to royal life taught him that leadership is more than just ribbon cutting and waving. It involves representing an entire nation and keeping up an image of respect and tradition. Yet Charles remained a curious young boy, eager to learn. He loved the outdoors, playing sports and exploring nature whenever possible. Despite all the ceremony around him, he tried to embrace any normal childhood moment he could find. This dual existence, being both a young heir and a child wanting freedom, shaped his perspective on duty and personal happiness. Over the years, the world watched him grow, picking apart every detail of his upbringing, from his choice of school to his friendships. While the spotlight was harsh, it also formed him into the resolute individual he would become. He learned to handle media pressure, stand by his values, and balance tradition with personal growth. Those early years in the public eye laid the groundwork for his eventual role as Britain's monarch. Challenging childhood. Although King Charles was born into privilege, his childhood was far from easy. In public, he seemed to have it all: a royal title, a future throne, and enrollment in prestigious schools. But behind the castle walls, he faced emotional hurdles that shaped who he is today. He often spoke of feeling somewhat isolated, since his parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, had demanding schedules and many official duties. As a result, they were often away, leaving young Charles under the care of nannies and tutors. He once admitted that his parents could be both physically and emotionally distant. Growing up under such circumstances, he struggled to find genuine warmth and affection. Many times his reserved nature was misunderstood as aloofness, but it stemmed from a lack of open, playful interaction within his family. Like any sensitive child, he longed for approval and closeness. Additionally, constant media attention made it hard for him to form normal friendships. Classmates sometimes teased him, either because of his royal status or his gentle nature. While many assume being a prince meant an easy life, it actually invited extra scrutiny. Every quirk or emotion he showed sparked feedback from both peers and the wider public. This pressure taught him to shield his feelings, shaping the more guarded side of his personality that people would later observe. However, these hardships also contributed to his ability to empathize with others, since he knew how it felt to be lonely and misunderstood. Charles developed a softer side. In time, he became known for his desire to protect the environment and uplift charitable causes. There is a belief that his early emotional battles gave him a strong sense of compassion for the struggles of everyday people. Overcoming a challenging childhood was no small feat. Charles had to navigate formal expectations, media glare, and his own yearning for unconditional love. These factors fueled both his insecurities and his determination to do well by his future subjects. In many ways, his youthful trials served as stepping stones toward a more empathetic approach to leadership, highlighting how even a prince can grow through adversity. Gordonstoun School experience. Gordonstoun School became a defining chapter of King Charles's youth. Founded by German educator Kurt Hahn, the school was known for its strict discipline, outdoor challenges, and emphasis on self-reliance. Prince Philip, Charles's father, believed that Gordonstoun would make his son tougher, more independent, and ready for the demands of royal life. Though the school was among the most respected in the United Kingdom, it was also notorious for its rigorous routines. For young Charles, the transition was tough. He was a sensitive boy, more inclined toward quiet reflection than braving cold mornings and adventure drills. At Gordonstoun, students were expected to wake up early to take cold showers, keep their dormitories spotless, and participate in various sports. The school highlighted character growth through hardship, a principle that clashed with Charles's gentle manner. He found the days exhausting and sometimes felt overwhelmed by the physical demands and the teasing he faced from classmates. Still, he would later admit that his time at Gordonstoun shaped his resilience and helped him discover inner strengths. He learned how to handle criticism, adapt to unfamiliar settings, and rely on himself in challenging situations. In a 1975 interview, he reflected that the school taught him much about his own abilities, hinting that the difficulties sparked personal growth. He also said that his father's insistence on sending him there, though harsh at times, forced him to confront the real world in ways a pampered prince rarely would. Beyond discipline, Gordonstoun offered Charles opportunities in leadership. The school believed in giving senior students responsibility to oversee younger ones, which helped Charles practice guiding and supporting peers. He also found moments to appreciate nature, exploring the rugged landscape surrounding the campus. That closeness with nature might have nurtured his lifelong advocacy for environmental causes. Despite the strictness, he later expressed gratitude for his Gordonstoun experience. While he often joked that his father's choice of school was a harsh move for someone so sensitive, he ultimately acknowledged its benefits. By enduring trials of physical endurance, structure, and teamwork, Charles discovered personal qualities that would serve him well as he prepared for the responsibilities of a future king. University education king. Charles's choice to attend university was a defining moment that broke royal tradition and sparked debate within the British royal family. Typically, heirs to the throne were expected to enter military service straight after their formal schooling. However, Charles had other plans. After completing his A-levels at Gordonstoun, he announced his intent to pursue a degree at the University of Cambridge. Many in the royal circle were uneasy about this decision, fearing it might reflect poorly on him as a future monarch. Critics claimed it showed a lack of discipline and a desire to dodge the rigors of military life. Yet Charles stood firm, determined to prove that scholarship and service could go hand in hand. Despite the stir it caused, his time at Cambridge became an invaluable experience. He studied anthropology, archaeology, and history, eventually earning a second-class lower Bachelor of Arts, an achievement that made him the first British heir apparent to receive a university degree. During his studies, the media kept a close watch on his every move. Reports of Charles strolling through campus with classmates or attending social events always made headlines, reflecting a public keenly curious about how he would balance academic pursuits with his royal obligations. For Charles, this period was about more than attending lectures and writing essays. It allowed him a taste of relative independence, a chance to mingle with fellow students and immerse himself in intellectual debate. He engaged in discussions ranging from historical events to global challenges, broadening his cultural awareness. This exposure seemed to strengthen his worldview and shape his future philanthropic interests. In particular, experiencing life beyond palace walls helped him understand ordinary people's struggles, an understanding that would later influence his passion for charitable causes. Still, not everyone was so accepting of his academic adventure. Some family members felt that time spent away from official duties hindered his readiness for the crown. Yet, Charles's resolve only grew stronger in the face of doubt. Even as tension brewed within the royal household, he persisted, focusing on exams and forming friendships that would last for years. Military career. After earning his university degree, King Charles turned his attention to the military, a path many had expected him to follow from the start. Criticism had built up when he initially postponed his service, with voices suggesting he feared the harsh environment. Yet Charles was determined to prove otherwise. Early in his second year at Cambridge, he requested Royal Air Force training, surprising both the public and members of his family. This move signaled his readiness to take on physically and mentally demanding challenges. Charles began his preparatory instruction by studying a range of technical subjects, including aerodynamics, navigation, and aviation medicine. According to Air Chief Marshal Sir Richard Johns, who oversaw parts of Charles's training, the young man displayed remarkable concentration and a fierce determination to excel. While critics still questioned whether a sensitive prince could handle strict discipline, Charles's instructors saw a different side, a focused student who refused to fail. His military journey didn't end with the RAF. Charles soon embarked on a career in the Royal Navy, following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. He took an accelerated course at Britannia Royal Naval College, quickly adjusting to life on ships, destroyers, and frigates. Over time, he served as a gunnery officer on the HMS Minerva and took on responsibilities that tested both his leadership and technical skills. His active involvement in real operations, such as monitoring a Soviet submarine, showcased his calm under pressure and willingness to adapt to life at sea. One highlight of Charles's service was his development as a pilot. He spent countless hours in the cockpit, perfecting maneuvers and formation flying. His dedication paid off when he earned the Double Diamond Trophy, marking him as one of the top pilots in his class. Eventually, Charles advanced to commanding officer of the minesweeper HMS Brownington, where he led a small crew through routine exercises and real missions involving leftover World War II ordnance. By December 1976, he concluded his active military career with the rank of commander. Though some once doubted his ability to withstand rigorous training, he left with a record that spoke volumes about his commitment and skill. In many ways, his time in uniform demonstrated that a future monarch could balance tradition with personal ambition, all while earning the respect of both royal and military circles. It was one more stepping stone on a journey that would soon lead him to a deeply complex chapter of life. Meeting Princess Diana. Meeting Princess Diana. The story of King Charles meeting Princess Diana often leads to mention of a shooting party hosted by Diana's older sister, Sarah. But according to Charles himself, their very first meeting happened in a less glamorous setting, a freshly plowed field. In that moment, Diana was a shy 16-year-old, while Charles was in his late 20s, dating Sarah. Despite the age gap and the prince's existing relationship, Diana captured Charles's attention. He was charmed by her youthful spirit and unique warmth, but with his eyes fixed on Sarah at the time, he barely acted on those feelings. Not long after, Charles joined Sarah for a ski trip, and their blossoming relationship was widely documented by the media, who celebrated them as a potential match. Behind the scenes, though, something else was happening. During a gathering at Sarah's invitation, Charles and Diana ended up talking in private. She led him on a brief tour of her home's gallery, and he found her kindness and energy irresistible, even if he couldn't publicly show it. Meanwhile, Diana was flattered by the prince's genuine interest. Yet the situation was far from simple. Sarah was still very much in the picture. In a surprising twist, Sarah herself ended up ending the relationship with Charles. She gave a frank interview to a magazine, boldly stating she was not in love with him, nor had any intention of marrying into the royal family. The public was stunned, considering how they had seemed happy together during their ski outings. Within months, Sarah married someone else, causing the media to pivot and focus on the evolving connection between Charles and Diana. With Sarah now out of the equation, Charles felt freer to pursue the younger sister who had captivated him from that first encounter. Still, there were unavoidable concerns about their 12-year age difference and Diana's limited experience with the public eye. Undeterred, they began seeing more of each other. The royal family, always conscious of appearances, kept a close watch on their dates, intrigued by the possibility that Diana might be a suitable bride for the future king. Marriage to Diana. The marriage of King Charles and Princess Diana was hailed as the event of the century, a dazzling ceremony watched by hundreds of millions worldwide. From the outside, it looked like the ultimate fairy tale. Royal pomp, horse-drawn carriages, and a stunning bride adored by onlookers everywhere she went. Yet beneath the grand displays of love and pageantry, trouble brewed. Diana, who was only 20 when she wed the future king, soon found that royal life was far more complex than she had imagined. One early warning sign came during their engagement interview. When asked if they were in love, Diana confidently said yes, but Charles replied, "Whatever in love means." His awkward response drew public concern, and privately, Diana admitted that it hurt. Troubles mounted further during their engagement when she discovered Charles had purchased a gift for his ex-girlfriend, Camilla Parker Bowles. Though Diana considered calling off the wedding, she pressed on, buoyed by her sister's support, but harboring deep fears about Charles's loyalty. Their wedding day remained a spectacle of joy, at least to the millions watching on television. Behind the scenes, however, cracks formed in the marriage almost immediately. Diana struggled with the relentless scrutiny of the press and the expectations placed on her as a royal wife. Charles, meanwhile, did little to hide his lingering attachment to Camilla, fueling Diana's worries and later, her heartbreak. Over time, the emotional strain took a visible toll. Diana spoke openly about her feelings of inadequacy, and Charles, unsure how to handle her distress, seemed to drift further away. Eventually, the rumors of Charles's ongoing affair became impossible to ignore. Diana confronted Camilla directly, pleading for her to leave Charles alone. When that failed, the tension boiled over, leaving Diana feeling more isolated than ever. The media, hungry for drama, devoured every hint of conflict. The final blow arrived when intimate phone conversations between Charles and Camilla leaked to the press, exposing the true extent of their relationship. Faced with a scandal that rocked the monarchy, Charles publicly admitted the affair. A deeply wounded Diana, in turn, shared her side in televised interviews, famously remarking that, "There were 3 of us in this marriage." In 1992, they formally separated, finalizing their divorce in 1996. What began as a fairy tale had become a cautionary story of love, betrayal, and public intrusion, forever shaping how the world viewed the House of Windsor and the couple at its center. Infidelity and marital troubles. The marriage of King Charles and Princess Diana was once the world's favorite fairy tale, but underlying tensions and hidden affections soon cast a shadow over their union. Early on, Diana sensed Charles's lingering fondness for his former flame, Camilla Parker Bowles. Although Diana hoped that marriage and motherhood would draw Charles closer, those dreams gradually faded as Camilla remained in the picture. Hurt and confused, Diana confronted Charles about the gift he had bought Camilla shortly before their wedding, an omen that her new life might not be a peaceful one. Taking on royal duties brought more public attention, leaving little room for private resolutions. Diana tried to hold her marriage together despite feeling increasingly overshadowed by Camilla's presence. Pleas and direct confrontations proved fruitless. Charles, meanwhile, seemed torn between his sense of duty to Diana and his emotional history with Camilla. Eventually, their marital strains spilled over into media reports, fueling endless tabloid gossip. Every time Diana appeared at a public event looking downcast or teary-eyed, the press speculated about Charles's behavior and the cracks in their relationship. The unsustainable tension came to a head when intimate phone conversations between Charles and Camilla leaked, confirming beyond doubt that the prince had continued his affair. The tapes featured candid exchanges, revealing the depth of their emotional bond. As these calls became front-page news, any hope of salvaging the royal marriage dimmed. In a bid to manage the crisis, Charles sat down for a televised interview where he finally admitted to cheating on Diana. This public confession shattered the prince's carefully managed image of respectability and left Diana feeling betrayed on a global stage. Although the divorce was still months away, the emotional damage was done. Diana's heartbreak, and Charles's public mea culpa generated an unending storm of media scrutiny. Many who had idolized Charles for his dedication to royal duty now questioned his character. Some sympathized with Diana, seeing her as a young woman thrust into an unforgiving spotlight and betrayed by her husband's continued closeness to Camilla. Others blamed both sides, arguing that royal life created pressures no marriage could endure. By the time legal separation became official, the couple's relationship had devolved into a series of painful headlines and regretful revelations. What started as a storybook wedding in front of nearly 1 billion onlookers turned into a cautionary tale of unresolved past relationships, public obsession, and the heavy toll of infidelity on even the most glamorous unions. Diana's struggles and legacy. When Diana entered the royal family, many saw her as the embodiment of a real-life Cinderella. A shy, young nursery school assistant swept up in a dazzling romance with the future king. Yet almost from the start, she struggled beneath the intense spotlight and the rigid protocols of royal life. Her natural warmth often clashed with the formal reserve expected of a princess, and every misstep drew tabloid headlines. Over time, these pressures took a serious emotional toll, leaving her feeling isolated and unsure of whom to trust. Beyond her marital woes, Diana battled personal insecurities. She spoke candidly about her struggle with bulimia, which she traced directly to the emotional pain and self-doubt she experienced in her relationship with Charles. Whenever she felt anxious about an upcoming event or a perceived rejection, the pressure became unbearable. Her willingness to open up about bulimia shattered royal norms, exposing a frank vulnerability that endeared her to millions who recognized their own battles in her story. Despite these struggles, Diana found her own voice and sense of purpose through humanitarian work. Early on, she displayed a gift for connecting with people from all walks of life. Children facing critical illness, victims of poverty, and those living with HIV/AIDS all found a compassionate ally in Diana, who wasn't afraid to kneel down, embrace them, and show a human touch that broke centuries of royal formality. This empathy became a hallmark of her public persona, earning her the nickname, the People's Princess. Even as her marriage unraveled, Diana's global reputation soared, buoyed by her devotion to charitable causes. She visited hospitals, comforted the sick, and championed controversial topics like landmine clearance. Though her personal life remained fraught with heartbreak, Diana's work on behalf of the marginalized offered a sense of meaning. In telling the world about her own pain, she helped to break stigmas surrounding mental health while using her platform to shine a spotlight on overlooked communities. By the time she and Charles divorced, Diana's place in history had already been secured. Her tragic death in 1997 only cemented her status as a beloved icon whose struggles made her relatable and whose compassion inspired countless others. Today, her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, carry her legacy forward with their own charitable projects and public engagements. Through them and the countless lives she touched, Diana's spirit endures, reminding the world of the power in empathy, vulnerability, and the courage to speak one's truth.
Diana has in fact been killed in that car accident.
In a shocking twist, the royal family has dropped a bombshell that could shake centuries-old traditions. Whispers are already swirling around Buckingham Palace as insiders tease a once-in-a-lifetime revelation that nobody saw coming. Could this monumental development rewrite royal protocols and forever alter the course of the monarchy? Join us as we dive into the intrigue surrounding this historic announcement. Princess Diana's Letter and Secrets. A jaw-dropping revelation from Buckingham Palace has left royal watchers reeling. The rediscovery of a letter from Princess Diana herself. Buried for decades and now thrust into the spotlight, it hints at a clandestine secret that could challenge the very pillars of royal tradition. While full details remain obscured, sources claim that this remarkable document touches on Diana's deepest fears, her relentless emotional struggles, and anxieties about powerful figures who might have targeted her. With the royal family's surprise disclosure, people everywhere are once again scrutinizing Diana's life through a brand new lens. Even during her lifetime, Diana's personal letters were known for their raw honesty, cartons of private notes once kept under lock and key now appear to confirm the intensity of her anguish and her suspicion that she was at risk. In the months before her tragic death, Diana openly worried about being subjected to a staged car crash, maintaining that such an incident might be orchestrated by those threatened by her activism and relentless media presence. Deemed paranoid by some and prophetic by others, these fears echoed through her final days, cutting a stark contrast to her graceful public persona. Shadows of these revelations first surfaced when her trusted butler, Paul Burrell, faced legal obstacles for safeguarding Diana's belongings. Although he was accused of theft, Queen Elizabeth II's intervention clarified that he had, in fact, been entrusted with many of Diana's personal effects, including letters. Some believe that the newly revealed letter may substantiate Diana's dread of sinister plots designed to silence her. It's no wonder that the royal family's recent announcement has ignited a flurry of speculation, inspiring questions about what else might be hidden behind palace walls. Meanwhile, Diana's humanitarian legacy resonates more powerfully than ever. The same woman who braved minefields in Angola and shattered prejudices surrounding HIV/AIDS was, behind the scenes, wrestling with heartbreak, fear, and betrayal. These latest documents suggest that she harbored confidences so sensitive that, if exposed earlier, they could have shaken the monarchy to its foundation. Now, with the royal family's surprising public acknowledgement of this mysterious letter, the world is eager to see if its contents will validate long-swirling conspiracy theories or simply add another tragic layer to Diana's story. Diana and Charles's relationship. In a stunning development, the royal family just announced a shocking discovery linked to Princess Diana, one that has reignited fascination with her complicated marriage to Prince Charles. After years of speculation and rumors, the new information has people revisiting every detail of their relationship, from its fairy tale beginning to the heartbreak that ultimately defined it. Diana Spencer met Charles through her older sister, Lady Sarah Spencer, in the late 1970s. At the time, Charles was fresh from a brief courtship with Sarah, which ended amid candid remarks about not wishing to marry him. Little did anyone suspect that this chance introduction would blossom into one of the most famous romances in royal history. Despite being just 19 when their relationship began, Diana quickly discovered the challenges of loving a man still ensnared by the memory of his ex-girlfriend, Camilla Parker Bowles. Her private world soon filled with doubts. In one television interview, Charles's response to whether he truly loved Diana, whatever love means, only deepened her unease and sense of insecurity. On July 29, 1981, their wedding at St. Paul's Cathedral dazzled a global audience of over 750 million. Yet beneath the veil of jubilation, Diana sensed an emotional distance between them. She suspected that Camilla lingered in Charles's heart. Over time, these feelings hardened into despair, particularly once they were married, and Diana realized how real that emotional bond remained. The strains within their marriage didn't stay hidden for long. Diana, feeling increasingly lonely and overlooked, shockingly threw herself down the stairs while pregnant, desperate for Charles's attention. His lukewarm response to her distress left her feeling more isolated than ever. That sense of betrayal intensified when Diana came to believe that there were 3 of us in the marriage. Learning to navigate her royal duties offered some respite. Diana's warmth endeared her to millions worldwide, who admired her compassion for the sick and vulnerable. Yet even as she won hearts through her humanitarian work, she battled emotional turmoil behind palace walls. Her BBC Panorama interview in 1995 made it plain she felt alone, overshadowed, and anxious about Camilla's unspoken role in Charles's life. While the fairy tale ceremony had promised happily ever after, reality brought heartbreak. By 1992, Diana and Charles separated, officially divorcing 4 years later. The public spectacle of their split confirmed the depth of their marital strife. Amid the pressures of royal life, Diana's longing for emotional security proved impossible to fulfill. The wedding of the century. The wedding of the century, Princess Diana and Prince Charles's 1981 nuptials, dazzled an international audience, and now the royal family's astonishing new announcement has once again cast fresh light on that iconic day. Nearly 750 million people across the globe tuned in to watch Diana, a demure 19-year-old, pledge her vows to the heir to the British throne. The broadcast was filled with pageantry and pomp, horse-drawn carriages, gleaming military uniforms, and one of the most memorable wedding gowns ever seen. Even decades later, that billowing ivory silk dress, with its 25-foot train, remains an enduring symbol of fairy tale romance. Yet behind the scenes, Diana privately wrestled with doubts. She had long sensed that Charles's heart belonged elsewhere, that he'd never truly let go of his past with Camilla Parker Bowles. Despite this misgiving, the pressure of royal duty and her own inexperience compelled her to push these fears aside. On the surface, the wedding was a perfect spectacle of Union Jack bunting, trumpets, and adoring crowds. World leaders, celebrities, and aristocrats from around the globe filled St. Paul's Cathedral, a testament to the significance of what the public believed to be a joyous match. The newly released royal documents, however, suggest suggest there was more tension behind the pomp and circumstance than previously known. Insiders hint that letters written by Diana around this time reveal a young bride bracing herself against a wave of uncertainty. Far from the storybook ceremony presented to the world, she felt overshadowed by Charles's lingering affection for Camilla. Rumors now claim that Diana's notes detail apprehension about exactly how welcome she was within palace walls, and the emotional toll she feared that day would take on her. Still, none of these private worries managed to dull Diana's remarkable poise as she walked down the aisle. Her infectious warmth shone through the ceremonial grandeur, earning her instant worldwide admiration. Long after the ceremony concluded, the honeymoon headlines continued to feed the relentless tabloids, all enthralled by the image of a shy kindergarten teacher transformed into a global icon overnight. For many, the wedding of the century stands as a bittersweet memory of what might have been. The stirring orchestras, the sea of well-wishers on London streets, and the hushed awe that accompanied the couple's vows still captivate royal watchers everywhere. Now, as the newly announced revelations rekindle curiosity about the wedding's unspoken drama, observers can't help but wonder whether this epic-making event was destined to foreshadow the stormy years that lay ahead. Struggles in the marriage. A bombshell announcement from the royal family has once again thrown the spotlight on Princess Diana's tumultuous life, particularly the painful struggles of her marriage to Prince Charles. For decades, the public has been mesmerized by their grand wedding and the fairy tale image that followed. Yet beneath the glittering veneer, Diana faced profound emotional battles that shaped her journey and ultimately laid bare the cracks in one of history's most scrutinized unions. From the start, Diana was plagued with insecurities about Charles's ongoing affection for his ex-girlfriend, Camilla Parker Bowles. Even in the early days of their courtship, references to Camilla would hang in the air, leaving Diana feeling dwarfed by her husband's emotional history. The mismatch of their ages, she was 19, he 32, only highlighted a divide in priorities. While she hoped for an affectionate match, Charles seemed conflicted, famously uttering whatever love means when asked if he truly loved Diana. As newlyweds, they momentarily played the roles expected of them, appearing at formal engagements with bright smiles that masked Diana's growing sense of isolation. Behind palace doors, Diana increasingly longed for recognition and reassurance from Charles. This longing peaked when she was pregnant with Prince William, and in a moment of despair, threw herself down the stairs in an attempt to provoke the empathy she felt her husband withheld. Instead of finding the compassion she desperately needed, she encountered a chilling indifference. Over time, Diana's anguish grew. She spoke of feeling like an outsider trapped within ancient protocols and watchful eyes. Her greatest heartbreak, she later confessed in a landmark BBC Panorama interview, was Charles's enduring closeness to Camilla. That searing admission, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," became an iconic snapshot of Diana's struggles. It conveyed not only the pain of perceived betrayal, but the loneliness of a young woman thrust into the global spotlight with few genuine allies. Seeking solace, Diana channeled her energy into humanitarian causes, forging meaningful connections with the public at every turn. Yet even as the world hailed her as the people's princess, she returned each night to a private sphere dominated by tension and suspicion, unable to heal what she saw as a broken bond. Ultimately, these unresolved issues, combined with constant media intrusion, proved insurmountable. In 1992, Diana and Charles announced their separation, finalizing their divorce 4 years later. Now, with this startling new royal family disclosure, the world is eager to learn whether Diana left behind fresh insights into those turbulent years of marriage. For so long, her struggles were wrapped in rumors and official narratives. Diana's famous BBC Panorama interview, Princess Diana's 1995 BBC Panorama interview, remains one of the most shocking and revealing moments in modern royal history. And now, the royal family's recent bombshell announcement has renewed interest in that explosive broadcast. At the time, it felt like the entire world stopped to hear Diana break her silence on her troubled marriage and emotional battles behind palace doors. She spoke candidly, radiating a mixture of vulnerability and strength that captivated millions of viewers who were unaccustomed to such naked honesty from a member of the royal household. In the interview, Diana addressed her unhappiness, telling the now infamous story of feeling trapped in a marriage overshadowed by her husband's ongoing connection to Camilla Parker Bowles. Her most quoted line, "There were 3 of us in this marriage," instantly etched itself into history. It confirmed lingering suspicions that Prince Charles's affections lay elsewhere, casting Diana as a lonely figure caught in an arrangement that lacked the comfort and stability she had hoped for. Yet what truly stunned the public was Diana's admission of her own struggles, including incidents of self-harm and severe emotional distress. At one point, she recounted throwing herself down the stairs while pregnant, desperate for Charles's attention. The heartbreak in her voice spoke volumes, amplifying the sense that her pleas for empathy had gone largely unheard. Far from the cheerful, confident princess glimpsed in official photographs, Diana emerged as a woman grappling with relentless media pressure, royal protocol, and a profound sense of isolation. Critics were quick to brand her as manipulative or attention-seeking, but her supporters saw a brave soul refusing to be silenced any longer. The interview not only redefined her public image, but also marked a watershed moment for the royal family. No longer confined by centuries of unspoken codes, Diana unapologetically peeled back the curtain. She displayed the raw reality of royal life, not merely a glittering spectacle of tiaras and galas, but also a claustrophobic environment where personal pain too often festered in private shadows. Today, speculation abounds that the royal family's latest startling announcement involves rediscovered commentary or documentation surrounding Diana's panorama revelations. Could there be more details, hidden for decades, that amplify her words about betrayal and heartbreak? This possibility has jolted public curiosity all over again. Echoes of that interview, Diana's luminous eyes, her measured tone, and her stark confessions, remain just as resonant now, decades later. Whatever emerges next, that 1995 broadcast will forever be remembered as the moment Diana found her voice and shattered the myth of the unassailable monarchy. Humanitarian efforts. Princess Diana's acts of kindness and courage remain emblematic of a royal figure who chose empathy over tradition, and now, with the royal family's unexpected announcement, her humanitarian efforts are back in the global discourse. Even as she endured personal struggles, feeling overshadowed in her marriage and hounded by relentless press, Diana channeled her pain into caring for the most vulnerable. Her bravery shone through in 1987, when fear and confusion about HIV/AIDS were rampant. Diana famously shook hands with an AIDS patient without gloves, an extraordinary gesture that shattered misconceptions about the virus's transmission. That single act sent a powerful message. Compassion and knowledge could overcome public hysteria. It also aligned her with a marginalized community desperate for understanding and support, demonstrating that real change could be sparked by empathy at the highest levels of society. 10 years later, in 1997, she made global headlines again by walking through an active minefield in Angola to highlight the perils of landmines. Her willingness to face danger in order to champion a critical cause inspired worldwide admiration. This brave move helped spur international efforts toward banning these hidden threats, culminating in the Ottawa Treaty, which outlawed the use of landmines. Now, as the royal family hints at new insights involving Diana, the world is reminded of what made her truly extraordinary. Her compassion transcended palace protocols. Diana's tragic death, a new royal announcement, has reignited interest in one of the most heartbreaking chapters in modern history: the tragic death of Princess Diana. The shock of her passing on August 31, 1997, was felt around the world. Yet it's the circumstances and secrets still emerging all these years later that continue to stir debate. According to fresh details, Diana may have harbored greater fears than the public ever knew, fears that could recast our understanding of what really happened in that fateful tunnel in Paris. On the surface, her fatal car crash appeared to be the ultimate result of a high-speed chase by paparazzi, intent on capturing intimate snapshots as she and her companion, Dodi Fayed, sought a moment of peace away from relentless flashing cameras. Their driver, Henri Paul, was later found to have been intoxicated, and an investigation concluded that a lethal mix of speeding, alcohol, and lack of seatbelt use led to the collision, killing Diana, Dodi, and Henri Paul almost instantly. Only Diana's bodyguard survived, though with serious injuries. The entire world reeled from the news, unified in shock and grief. Yet over the years, whispers of conspiracy refused to fade. Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, would later claim she penned a letter expressing her deep concern that someone might orchestrate a car accident to silence her. Initially dismissed as rumor, this unsettling notion found renewed life in the context of the endless swirl of paparazzi, political tensions, and the oddities surrounding that night's final moments. When Queen Elizabeth II intervened to stop legal charges against Burrell after he was found to be in possession of Diana's belongings, it only added another layer of complexity to her already tragic story. Questions surrounding Diana's death have never quite settled. While official inquiries consistently determined that the crash was an accident, the people's princess had become so beloved and so entwined in the hearts of millions that her death felt almost too cruel to be explained by a simple twist of fate. Could the newly announced revelations shine a brighter light on records or letters from that time? Might they confirm or debunk the theories that powerful forces sought to curb Diana's influence on humanitarian causes and her willingness to speak out? For many, Diana's legacy of compassion, exemplified by her work with HIV/AIDS patients and her courageous stand against landmines, demonstrated a fearless altruism, one that may have garnered as many admirers as critics. She was the vibrant spirit who redefined what it meant to be royal, and in doing so, may have stirred forces beyond her control. Now, with the royal family's startling disclosure, we find ourselves once again pondering the unanswered questions that surround Diana's tragic death, wondering if this time we might finally learn the truth she feared would remain hidden. written, Paul Burrell's role. Paul Burrell's name has been thrust back into the spotlight with the royal family's latest announcement, prompting renewed interest in his extraordinary connection to Princess Diana. Originally a young footman at Buckingham Palace, Burrell steadily earned the trust of senior royals, eventually becoming Diana's butler and personal assistant. He witnessed her remarkable charitable work, her tension-filled marriage to Prince Charles, and her heart-wrenching struggles with loneliness. Over time, the two formed a bond that far surpassed the conventional role of employee and employer. His devotion did not end with her tragic passing in 1997. Following Diana's death, Burrell emerged as a fervent guardian of her memory, claiming that she had entrusted him with safeguarding personal belongings and letters. This commitment drew him into the harsh glare of media and legal scrutiny when, in 2002, he stood accused of stealing over 30,000 items from her estate. The resulting court case riveted the public's attention and threatened to tarnish his reputation. In a dramatic twist, Queen Elizabeth II confirmed she knew Burrell had been keeping Diana's possessions, and the charges against him were dropped. Burrell's subsequent revelations, however, proved equally explosive. He insisted Diana harbored fears of a staged car crash meant to silence her, sparking lingering questions about the circumstances that led to her fatal accident. Critics dismissed him as an opportunist, profiteering from her life and death through interviews and books. Supporters argued he was fulfilling her wish to share truths she felt would otherwise remain buried. Today, as rumors swirl of newly discovered documents from Diana's final years, Burrell's role is being re-examined. Was he a loyal confidant preserving her legacy, or an eager storyteller capitalizing on her fame? Whatever fresh details may emerge, one fact is undeniable. Paul Burrell had unprecedented access to Diana's inner world, making him central to the ongoing intrigue surrounding her extraordinary life. Conspiracy theories and Diana's fears. Princess Diana's life and untimely death have long been caught in a web of rumors and speculation, and the royal family's latest bombshell announcement has brought those intense debates back to center stage. Many of these theories stem from Diana's own letters, in which she expressed fears that powerful figures would orchestrate a staged car accident to silence her. Although official inquiries blamed her tragic passing in 1997 on speeding, an intoxicated driver, and paparazzi in pursuit, conspiracy theorists point to Diana's personal anxieties as evidence that something more sinister might have been afoot. Paul Burrell, Diana's former butler and close confidant, claimed that she confided these concerns to him privately. According to Burrell, Diana believed her activism on global issues and her willingness to challenge royal protocol could have ruffled powerful feathers. It didn't help that she felt isolated by some members of the royal family and openly struggled with the relentless attention from the press. Burrell's later revelations about a letter in which Diana purportedly warned of a plot to cause a serious car accident reignited the public's fascination with her death. Critics of conspiracy theories argue that the facts point to an unfortunate yet straightforward tragedy. On that fateful night, Diana and Dodi Fayed attempted to slip past the paparazzi by departing from the Ritz Hotel's back entrance. Their driver, Henri Paul, was found to be thrice over the legal alcohol limit and driving at breakneck speed, an unsafe choice that proved deadly. Diana's bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, was the only survivor, and while some wonder if he might hold keys to a hidden truth, official investigations concluded that the accident was, in fact, caused by reckless driving, nothing more. Yet uncertainty lingers. The intense global mourning that followed Diana's death elevated her to a near mythical status, fueling speculation that fate alone could not have taken her life so abruptly. Her humanitarian work, specifically her outspoken involvement in controversial causes such as anti-landmine campaigns, had placed her squarely on the world stage. Some conspiracy theorists believe that these altruistic actions and the influence she began to wield posed a threat to entrenched interests, prompting a plot to remove her. Whether one believes in foul play or in the simpler explanation of a tragic accident, Diana's fears remain a significant chapter in her story. She was vocal in her letters about real concerns for her safety, and her vulnerability in sharing these thoughts with trusted confidants endears her to admirers decades after her passing. With the royal family's recent revelations stirring speculation anew, it's clear that conversations about Diana's life and her lingering apprehensions are far from over. Diana's legacy. Princess Diana's legacy continues to captivate, especially now in light of the royal family's latest announcement hinting at revelations no one expected. She came onto the world stage as a shy teenager marrying the future king, yet emerged as a transformative force whose compassion and authenticity redefined what it meant to be royal. To millions, she wasn't just a figure in a tiara, she was the people's princess, tirelessly championing causes often overlooked by those in power. Behind the grandeur of the 1981 wedding of the century, Diana's personal struggles foreshadowed her determination to create genuine human connections. Growing up, she had lived a relatively quiet life, but found herself thrust into an archaic system bound by complex rules and centuries-old traditions. Despite her own crises, feeling overshadowed by Prince Prince Charles's attachment to Camilla Parker Bowles and wrestling with bouts of loneliness, Diana channeled her vulnerabilities into empathy for others. This approach led her to groundbreaking humanitarian efforts, such as supporting HIV/AIDS patients at a time when misinformation and fear prevailed. Her famous gesture of shaking hands without gloves broke taboos and inspired a worldwide shift in attitudes. Diana's fearlessness only grew, culminating in her historic walk through an active minefield in Angola in 1997. That courageous act brought a crucial issue to global attention, propelling the movement to ban landmines. Through these public acts of compassion, Diana brought monarchy closer to the people by showing that a royal figure could be warm, relatable, and unafraid of diving into pressing social causes. Tragically, her story ended far too soon on a Paris roadway, leaving behind unanswered questions about who might have sought to undermine her. Even in death, her spirit continues to resonate. The sudden disclosure from the royal family has reignited interest. Might Diana have left behind secrets that deepen our understanding of her passions and fears? Regardless of new revelations, Diana's extraordinary empathy, quick smile, and willingness to stand with the marginalized remain her defining gifts to the world. In many ways, her legacy outshines any lingering intrigue, reminding us that an open heart can inspire sweeping change. Across time and distance, people remember Diana not just for her title, but for how she illuminated social injustices and strove to mend them, proving that even amid royal pomp, it is empathy that truly reigns supreme.